Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, new start of the week, May 24th. Hope everyone enjoyed the weekend, an absolute crazy weekend at the ECSI desk. A weekend where we were actually pretty snake bitten in the MLB. We'll get to that real soon. If you have a second, go on over to YouTube, follow us at East Coast Sports Investors, Jeff Dawson. Subscribe, turn on the notifications. If you got 5 seconds, give us a like and a quick review. We're here to educate, not entertain. We try to break down all kinds of different angles, numbers, analytics, the other side of baseball wagering and investing between myself and Scott. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, yesterday, if you were a chalk or favorite bettor, you did very well. The favorites were 10-5. A couple big dogs that did come in yesterday. The Rays, big ninth inning, cashed at plus 139. The Rangers plus 132 to beat the Astros. And then the Twins also come up with a nice dog and a victory as well. Without further ado, I'd like to bring on my partner in crime, Scotty Webb, at MLBdaily.com at Webby20MLB. Scotty, good morning. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I wish baseball would have been a different day for me on the outcomes yesterday, but, that's the way baseball goes.
I try to flood the timeline with some crazy snapshots of innings that just fall apart. And I put a couple up there yesterday, and we talked early on Sunday about the huge price on Toronto versus the Rays, who had won 9 in a row, now 10 in a row. And, you had a nice 2-run lead going into the 9th, and 5 walks and, a hit here, hit there. And next thing you know, here come the Rays that win 10 in a row. But you brought up a great point. Once you bring in a pitcher, he has to face 3 batters at least, and you're stuck. Like the rule, don't like the rule?
I don't mind the rule. To me, I didn't really like how managers were using their bullpen, where they were bringing in one guy to face one batter and then bringing another guy to face another batter. That I didn't like. I understand why they do that kind of stuff, but the 3-batter rule was designed to speed up the game, and I'm not sure it's doing any of that kind of thing. But at the same time, it really puts a hamper on what you can do and what you can't do if you got a guy that comes in and can't throw strikes. That game yesterday, the Rays had the bases loaded with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and they were still behind. And they brought in the pitcher, and he walked 3 straight guys to bring in 2 runs. And it's just, there's nothing you can do as a manager. You're stuck until he's done with his 3 guys. And it's just amazing that in today's efficient world of pitchers, you still have a spot where these guys come in and they can't throw strikes.
And we talked about on Saturday, the ECSI group snake bit with 3 1-run losses. And then on Sunday, what we like to do is we put together what we call is a Sunday action parlay, kind of the end of the week. Usually when we're up, we had profited 4 weeks in a row. If we're up, say, 5.38 units, we'll take the 0.38 units, try to put together a little action parlay to keep everyone in the game for the day, but also playing with the leftovers. And yesterday, kind of funny, we had the reverse sweep on our parlay. Yesterday, we had the Royals as a dog, and we had the Diamondbacks as a dog, and both of them got walked off in the 9th with homers. So it kind of Saturday and Sunday snowballed into a crazy finale for the weekend. One weekend you go 7-2, and then, it's the reverse the following weekend. As I like to say, some days you're the dog, most days you're the fire hydrant, and we definitely were the fire hydrant over the weekend. I wanted to talk to you about analytics for a second. Uh, Being obviously a diehard Red Sox fan, live about 45 minutes to an hour from Fenway Park. Big Alex Cora fan. They earlier this month, they were in a tight ball game at Fenway Park. We know the left field is real short there, the Green Monster. They were their outfielder was literally playing like 258 feet. I mean, it was like little league fence at 250 plus 8 feet, and his reason, and that the ball got over his head. But the reason was the analytics said that this guy's line drive rate landed at around 256 to 258. So they were trying to stop the base hit there. So yesterday, Cora comes out and he says the team is struggling with infield making plays. Basically, the exact words and phrase, and I'm going to screw up here, but they were playing too far back. So he said since they've moved the infield in, their rate of success has gone up like 35%. Are we starting to get too nerded out here, Scotty?
I think you can. I think what they're trying to do is apply more of the defensive shift mentality to standard play. In other words, if you're bringing an outfielder in to try to limit the bleeder looping line drive type hit, and not worried about the one that hits over your head, I think that the chances are over the course of time they're weighing it out on a computer that basically said my odds are greater to make the out than they are to have the ball hit over my head. And if it backfires on you, I guess you're going to be in a spot where you sit there and go, okay, well, let me tell the world what we did and why we did it, because we look kind of dumb. So I think that if he were to be out there and telling you all these other things that they're doing in terms of what each position, I guess, is adjusting towards, that might give away some other things to other clubs that maybe he's got an advantage on. So I think that analytics can get to a point where you can study where balls are hit, but at this point in time, the way I see it, guys can't hit the ball where they want to anyway. So if you got a guy on second base, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and you're trying to make a positive play, you need to hit the ball to the right side of the infield so that the guy gets to third base. That only happens less than 50% of the time. So that tells me they can't hit the ball where they want to, and it tells me that the pitchers are really good. So if the defense is going to adjust to try to take away some of that too, I don't know that you need to have that defensive adjustment, because what if the batter actually does hit the ball where he don't know where he's hitting it, so he just hits the ball and it hits it into where they don't play it. I think that's probably a little overkill, my thought anyway.
Today it's Monday. It's kind of a short schedule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games on the docket. Some interesting games from our viewpoint. I don't know where you stand here, but let's bring up the board right now, see if we can get that up there.
Hey, there's a pitching change in Toronto, by the way. Stripling is not going to start that game. Thornton is going to start that game.
Yes, I do see that on Don Best, and I have also Peterson starting against Colorado, and I will get to that one because what we like to say here is the Gomber effect will be into play today. But there's some interesting games here, and we'll take a look from our point of view and then see what you can come up with here. We checked 3 games off the board on our side, looking at potential a little sharp play overnight, and then a couple reverse line movements, like you said. Now, on my Sports Insight, I'm still listing Stripling, but on my Don Best, I am listing Thornton. So right now, with the Thornton move, Tampa now goes to a minus 111 favorite right now. And correct me if I'm wrong, Scotty. You said Toronto yesterday played their last game in Florida, and now today back in Buffalo.
Well, I thought it was their last game yesterday because I thought they were flying out on Sunday. looks like today will be their last game in Florida because it's the same matchup. It's Toronto and Tampa Bay. So, and it's a 1:00 game. So it makes sense to me that today will be the last time that they play there. I was looking this game. Stripling's probably, I guess, the way they word these things now, and the way the Rays word them is they have the opener, right? They have the guy that comes in and pitches 2 innings or whatever, and then they have what they call the bulk guy. So he's the bulk innings guy. I think that's what Stripling's going to be. I think Stripling's going to pitch, but Thornton, he's made I don't know, I think it's 14 appearances so far this year. He started 2 games, but his longest outing has been 2 innings. So I'm going to say that Thornton's going to start the game, and he's only going to pitch, the first 6, 7 batters, and then he's going to be done. And then I think Stripling will take over from there. Is kind of how this game will probably break out.
All right, so if I look at our graph right here, we'll pull that one up quickly. Again, this is still showing the initial Stripling, but they did reverse the numbers. We currently have Tampa Bay minus 111, Toronto plus 101. I got a split of 68-32 on the bets and a 53-47 on the monies coming in. So by looking at this graph initially, they would be showing a little reverse line movement heading towards Toronto. I never want to get in front of a team that's red hot. The Rays have now won 10 in a row. Firm believer, let them lose that first game. And once they do, they usually, after a team has a long streak, tendencies are to lose the second one here. Any thoughts on this matchup at all on your side?
Well, it's kind of interesting because Tampa Bay's starting pitcher is Yarbrough today. And breaking down Yarbrough's numbers, he's been really good as the bulk guy. He has not been good anytime that he's been the starting pitcher. So he's the starting pitcher today. And I look at it from an idea probably that this is a spot where Toronto will probably be a good spot, especially in the first 5 innings, just because Yarbrough is not a good starter. Last year, he threw very well and was one of the better pitchers that they had for the Rays. He is not doing that in this case. I think one of the things we got to, and this was a great thing that Rays did with the opener thing to try to be competitive. You got to remember that when Yarbrough will come into as a bulk guy, when he comes into the game, or any of those bulk guys, they're not going to face this top of the lineup. They're going to face the bottom of the lineup. And then the next time that they go out, then they kind of get the idea that they can pitch 4 or 5 innings before they have to go through the top of the inning order again. And that's the advantage that those guys have, especially a guy like Yarbrough, because he doesn't throw hard. He's one of those guys that has to put the ball where it needs to go to get the out type of pitcher. And the mistakes are bad. His batting average against, for example, is 308, and his whip rate is 1.58. So he's not fooling anybody, and he's getting guys put on base. But those are all reflective of being a starting pitcher. If you put in the numbers where he's actually put in as a bulk guy, he doesn't give up hardly any runs. So I like the idea here that Toronto probably is a better play at the beginning of the game and not so much at the end of the game. And that's where the Rays have all their different arms that they can bring in. And they just made that trade with Milwaukee with Willie Adames. They got 2 more relief guys that they got in now. So, they can do all kinds of different things in the bullpen.
Amazing what they've done. The fact that, they lose a couple big pieces and they just keep chugging along. Blake Snell now is just an afterthought to them. And they get hot at the right time. The Yankees are warming up, as we'd like to say. The Sox got out to that early lead, but now I think if I'm correct, they're with the Sox loss, they are now tied. And the way that this team they just never quit. They're always in it, and what they can do in the back end just frustrates most teams come late. As the game progresses, as you talked about.
Yeah, the Rays are an interesting team because you think of baseball teams and you think of like the Braves, for example, and you go, okay, they got Acuna and they have Freeman and they have Albies and Ozuna and those guys. But when you think of the Rays, you don't list off those players. That they have guys that work as a team unit as opposed to as individuals. And it's just kind of interesting to watch. I liken the Boston Red Sox to that to a degree, in a sense that their batting order and that players work well around each other. And I look at the same thing with the Yankees. Their batting order doesn't. So it's kind of one of those situations where I think that teams are figuring out how to produce runs and how to have a team concept if they talk about it. And my guess is in some clubhouses that works, and in others it doesn't. I mean, watching the Cardinals game last night was like, oh my God, they had 10 opportunities to score runs. So they hit a double, for example, and then the next guy up hits a line drive, and the guy gets doubled off of second base. And the next guy comes up and hits a double. So they have 4 doubles and don't score. So they had bases loaded, nobody out in the 7th inning and don't score. How does that happen? And then they get into the 10th inning and then a home run goes against them and they lose the game. It's almost embarrassing because they wasted a great start by Wainwright last night.
Absolutely. I'm going to go to the next game, which kind of intrigues me. I'm hoping you can fill us in on why. 7:10 first pitch, rotation number 909-910. The Indians travel to Detroit. Hentinges versus Turnbull. We had Detroit open up at 108 at Pinnacle and 120 at Chris, and now we're seeing Detroit minus 126 and minus 131 at Chris. And if I break down the exact numbers here for everyone here, 57% of the bets, 43% on Cleveland. I'm sorry, Cleveland at 57%. Yet 88% of the money coming rolling in on the Tigers. Obviously, if you look at the overall records and the play, and now look at these numbers, shops are pounding the Tigers. Scotty, any reason why?
I think that the old school mentality of betting is what has a pitcher done in his last 3 starts and how does that really look? And Turnbull last time out threw a no-hitter. So he's going to look great on paper of what it's going to look like for them. But I also kind of like the idea here that Hentges is a young kid. He hasn't pitched much, and his first time, I think people forget, his first time out, he threw 4 innings, gave up no runs. His second time out, he got shelled. So I think people are looking at what have you done for me lately in this game, and then they're taking the idea that Detroit is going to be able to beat Cleveland because they have a better team. Now, I will say this. The Cleveland Indians are a shell of themselves when they don't have Reyes in the lineup, the big home run hitter they got from San Diego. And he's hurt his rib, I think it was Saturday, so he didn't play yesterday. And I think they're going to have a struggle trying to score. But on the vice versa side of that, the Cleveland Indians are starting a left-handed pitcher. The Detroit Tigers are number 30 in baseball against left-handed pitching. So I don't like this game in any way. I get the idea that people want to back the Detroit Tigers, and I have a theory too that is going to come into play in one of my plays later on, and I've studied it now for 2 or 3 years. But teams that come off the road to play their first home game, especially if it's a losing road series, are very, very good. 60% win clip, just 60% win clip, not knowing who the teams are or whatever, in their first home game. So it's like, okay, they come home and they get the home cooking and sleep in their own bed, and then all of a sudden they're refreshed and ready to go, and their first game out, they're pretty good. So that's where you're looking at Detroit today.
And we used to always, we always have in the back of our mind, usually always fade the pitcher coming off the no hitter.
Yeah.
Usually, most of the time, they're in the 110, 115, sometimes even 120 pitch game, the game before. The mental part and to get to that spot again 5, 6 days after generally is a losing proposition, but kind of surprised here where this number is today and where it will end up. And I just wanted to break down quickly before we go to your games for today. Briefly, I'm going to just say one thing. Means had been great. Obviously, early to start the year, does have a no hitter. Last week was gifted a 6-0 lead and actually ended up losing. Short dog at Minnesota here, who Minnesota is on our DMP list for a while. They have kind of crushed us. We'll be interested to see how that one shakes out. But I wanted to go to 7:40 first pitch. Rotation number 905, 906. The Padres, the red hot Padres, travel to Milwaukee, and the pitching matchup of the night. And that is Snell versus Woodruff. And I'll just do a quick breakdown of the numbers as we speak right now. Let's see what we can pull up here. Milwaukee opened up -119, currently -114. 74% of the bets, 78% of the money, all coming in on the red hot Padres with Snell. First look, Scotty, numbers, analytics, the Webby odds. How do you break this down?
I think this is a pick'em game because the way I see it, Woodruff's a better pitcher than Snell. But the San Diego offense is much better than the Milwaukee offense. So it just depends on kind of what they can get. So if Milwaukee can get Woodruff to go 7 innings, 8 innings tonight, and then they can throw in Hader, I don't think San Diego can beat that. However, at the same time, I say that if Woodruff goes only 6 innings, then and Snell and it gets hit a little bit, and he gives up, say, 2 runs, Snell has a chance because of Milwaukee's offense to hold those guys to, say, 2 runs, and then it becomes a tight game, and who knows who's going to win the game. So vision-wise, I can see how Milwaukee can win this game, and Milwaukee's playing the first home game off of getting beat up by Cincinnati. So I kind of think that this is a spot where I would go with Woodruff and stay away from Snell. Snell has one of the things that I look at, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday, was how you win baseball games today and the value of certain things. When you can get on base, you have the opportunity to score runs. And Blake Snell's whip rate is 1.52. So that means 1.5 guys per inning are getting on base. And Woodruff is 0.74. So it's half of that. And the reason isn't the batting average per se, it's the walk rate. Snell still can't throw strikes. He has 13% walk rate. So that gives the opportunities to Milwaukee. And like you talked about, how many times can teams give up 4 outs in an inning? Not any time, because those extra outs make a difference. That's the same problem that pitchers have with walks. If they put guys on base and they have a batting average against that, say, 250, that's above average today, then that gives the opponent the ability to score runs, whereas a greater starting pitcher limits those opportunities, and that's what Woodruff does. So I would like Milwaukee in this game because I don't think Snell throws enough strikes, and I do think that as a dominance from the mound, Woodruff is going to be able to do that much better than what Snell is going to be able to do on his end.
All right. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to the Scott Webb, what we want to call the Scotty, give us your thoughts, your Webby report, your picks for the day.
Well, I have kind of a weird play today because I don't normally pick a favorite that's a bigger favorite. But I know you said something about the Gomber effect, but I'm gonna be on the Mets today, and I'm gonna be taking Peterson today for the Mets, and I know they are minus 140 at most places right now. But when I lined this game, my line came out to be minus 200. And the reason for that is because you've got the Mets, and I know that they struggled against Miami, but this is, again, one of those games where they were on the road. Now they're coming home off of a losing series. So I like the Mets in a 60% win spot just on that basis alone. But then when you add in that Peterson can pitch, and the Colorado Rockies they've played 19 away games so far. They've won 2 of them. They are 2-17 on the road, and the Mets are 11-4 at home. And I know that these don't dictate everything that you go through, but I do like the idea here that the New York Mets are in a spot where they should do well being at home against a team that doesn't like the road and hasn't fared well on the road, and a guy that's hittable. I mean, when you start to think about Gomber and what he's doing, his batting average against is 265, and his whip rate is 1.42. So again, getting guys on base, and he's doing it through batting average. But one of the other things that is kind of interesting, of all the pitchers on the board today, he is the hardest hit rate of all of them. So 37.3% of the balls hit against him are what's called hard hit rate. So that means they come off the bat at 95 plus miles an hour. Anytime that a ball is hit hard like that, it gives the defense a less reaction time to get to the ball. So you can get more hits that way. And what I liked about Peterson was he's got a 54.1% ground ball rate. So when the opponents hit the ball, it's usually on the ground against Peterson, which gives the defense a greater chance to make the play. And I get it, it's minus 140, but if I'm looking at it from a perspective of minus 200, I still have line value, and that's where I'm going to go with it.
So basically, the ECSI freebie of the day, from Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. You can follow him at MLBdaily.com. We'll go to rotation number 903, 904, 710 first pitch. Listing Peterson here. The Mets, I currently have them minus 138 at Circa. So everyone here, take a look. That is the freebie for the day. Scotty, any closing thoughts?
No, I think that today's card's a unique card because in a lot of ways you have teams that it just looks funny when you can sit there and go, okay, Baltimore could be a favorite today, and how many times are they a favorite? And Baltimore as a road favorite, Detroit's a favorite today, or could be a favorite in a lot of ways. And I sit there and I go, holy cow, Baltimore and Detroit, 2 of the worst teams in the league, and they're going to be favorites over Cleveland, who has an opportunity to make a playoff run. Not that they will, but they have an opportunity to. And Minnesota, who's a team that should have made a bid on a playoff type team, but they're doing terrible. So it's interesting. And then the only one other game that I thought was interesting is the St. Louis and White Sox game. And that's because the White Sox are going home off of a bad series against the Yankees, and they face a left-handed pitcher today. So it's kind of an interesting spot. I know the line's big, but Lance Lynn's numbers are not good going into this game. His Sierra number is 506, and the only guy worse than him on the board today is Shoemaker for the Twins and Hentges for the Indians. So that's not a good sign. That could be, and I didn't write it down. It's over here. That could be a game that I would look at as an over kind of situation, because if he's really struggling to get outs and they're facing a left-handed pitcher that they do pretty well. That might be an over spot.
Yeah, I think the streak was stopped on Friday. I want to say they were at 16 in a row, and I think the Yankees got them on Friday, if I remember correctly. Montgomery got them late, 2-1 against Rondon, and they're now like 25-4 the last 29 against lefties. I do agree with you. It's a short menu. We'll be watching the numbers all day. Some intriguing numbers, some intriguing opening lines into where the public takes them. But that's what we do here. Instead of your stockbroker, what we like to say here at ECSI, we're your sports broker, where we'll be following these numbers throughout the day, throwing some tidbits out there on the Twitter and the rest of social media to keep everyone informed. But again, as always, Scotty, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to another show tomorrow, same time, and then we will see what the rest of the week goes. Maybe we go to an afternoon schedule. Maybe we take a few days off. We'll see how everything goes. But want to thank everyone here again. If you got a second, run over to YouTube, subscribe. It's free. Check the like button, write a quick review, retweet, send some friends over, start following us on Twitter and all the other social media platforms. We're here to educate, not entertain. And always you can interact, ask us any question. And if you didn't get it to us on the live show, just send it to us on social media and we will answer it then. Again, thank you so much, Scotty. And everyone out there, have a great day and let's cash some tickets.